Well, in the month of February, I've been working on these journals. And of course, you know, February, everybody's thinking of hearts and flowers and romance. And so I had found out the backstory to Blanche, and there was a love story behind it. Now, a lot of you that deal with junk journals and have made them, you're familiar with this face already, and you may be familiar with her story too. But for those that aren't, I will share it with you. We went through it in great detail on our live when we were making all these. But for those of you that, you know, don't make my lives, I will fill you in. So she was born in about 1850, and during that period of time, Paris was like, you know, the hub of the universe. There was money, there was artists, there was all kinds of things going on there, and so she was right smack in the middle of all the excitement. She enjoyed her parties, and she enjoyed her clothing, and you know, the opulent fashion that was in the homes. And anyway, her family had money. Let's put it that way. They had the bucks, but her mom was also pretty strict. So she was trying to be involved in everything that was going on during that period of time, and she kind of had to, you know, sneak around to do it. But anyway, let's start off showing how I put these together. I have two basic styles, this large one that we'll go through, and then more like a medium-sized one. Let me put that to a side, and let's go through this one first, because then you can see all the moving parts. All right, so in the front here of this book, I have a little flap, and it shows, you know, some of the advertising during that period of time in the mid 1800s, and just a few little items that depict Paris. So you can open these up, you can write in them. They're designed for you to add things to them. There's a lot of stuff in here, but a lot of space that you will be able to add your own goodies to it. So here in the front, there's a pocket, and this has her whole story, and I'll go through the story as we go along. But here is all the documentation of everything we're going to talk about, and it's all here for you to read with pictures and um, news stories from the magazines and things like that, newspapers of the time. So this was the kind of apparel that she would be wearing. Here is just a little booklet for you to write in. We'll put this back in there for right now. And here is some scenes there of Paris. And this is from some old advertising. So I just put a few papers in there that you can write in. And each of the journals will have one of these. Each of the journals will have one of the ladies. And each of the journals will have the backstory. So as you go through the other ones, I won't have to open everything up. You'll know what's there. All right, so here are some pages in which we've got different kinds of goodies. I put some, most of these, well, all of them actually, have some dolls. They're like paper dolls, but I put them on some cardboard. So they're pretty sturdy, which will enable you to write on them if you like. And then there's spaces here that you can write or add some more things you want to glue. Here are some samples of some fabrics that would be on the beautiful dresses that she would have handmade for her. And here are some vintage postcards, some pictures from that time period, and like the burlesque type shows that would go on in Paris during that period of time. I'll just put those in later. And then we can imagine that this would, she had, obviously, she was so beautiful. She had a lot of gentlemen callers that liked her. So I put in here a few of the items that I'm sure she received from her many suitors. And another paper doll. And some lace and a glove. A nice little tag. I thought this was cute. And then some fabric, more fabric. This looks something that, this is obviously silk, something that she would have a beautiful dress made out of, I'm sure. And then another postcard. And then dealing again with sweethearts and Valentine. Made some hearts. That'll be in the little pocket. And then some more areas here for you to write. Then here in the main section, here is another, this would have been like one of those needle holders, but turned it into a little notebook. Now this is her boyfriend. Now what ended up happening was, in those days you married quite young, and she was already in her mid-20s and she had not married, and her family really wanted her to marry, but she was interested in a lawyer, and this lawyer was about 10 years older than her, and her family was determined to keep her away from him because he wasn't the kind that made money, you know. He tried, and he was really helping out the poor people, so he wasn't one of those lawyers making money, but she really loved him and wanted to be with him, and they were forbidding her to be with him. So I imagine that this is a Valentine that he gave her, and then inside in the heart is, she's right there inside of his heart, and there's little pieces of fabric and lace in there. So that would be what he gave her for one of the Valentines. Now, the story is that the parents were determined for her not to be around him, and she just was having nothing to do with it. She would sneak out, and they found out that she was already making plans to run away with him. And so what they did, kind of sort of the unthinkable. Now remember, these people are very rich. They have a big, giant, what we would think of like in a Victorian home. And they decided they would teach her a lesson and put her up in the attic until she agreed that she would not see him anymore. Well, this was true love. She says, I won't agree to not see him. So it was sort of like a stalemate. It was like, okay, who's going to give first? Is she going to give in and say, okay, I won't see him anymore? Or are they going to say, well, we can't keep them apart. She is, by this time, she's already 25 years old. So they're like considering her an old maid. You'd think in those days they just wanted to get their daughter married. But no, no, no. They wanted to choose who she was going to marry. So she decides, well, I am not going to give it up. I am going to stay, and I want to be with him. Well, one thing led to another, and she just did not, she wouldn't agree to not see him. And days turned into weeks, into months, and believe it or not, they left her up there. There she is as a child. She was beautiful as a child, too. They left her up there for, oh, no, I forgot, but it was like 20 years. it was it was crazy. They left her up in the attic. Here is an old. This is from 1888. This is the time that she's up in the attic. um, so they left her up there, and what they would do is the servants would slide food to her, and they never let her out. Now you would wonder, well, how did they, they were famous people. How could this happen? Well, they made up stories that she had gone off on a voyage, she'd gone off on a ship, and in those days people did. They toured the world if they had money, and they could be gone for months at a time. And, the months came and went, and I can only assume that the interest or the lie that they were telling became more plausible, that maybe she just never came back, or maybe they said, she married and so she never came. Who knows the exact details of the story that they told? But whatever details that story was, nobody came looking for her. Now, they told him that she had gone away, and he, believed it. But shortly after that, he died. So he would be the only one that would be looking for her. And so what ended up happening is the local prosecutor received an anonymous letter that told them that she was up there in that attic. And people speculate that it was her brother, because her father had already died, and her mom, was the one that was like the tyrant. And see, there's the mom. Looks a little bit like the tyrant, right? Louise, Madame Louise. So this anonymous letter came in, and they went to go see if what the letter said, which was saying that she was up in the attic. So they went to go see if it was true. Well, here in the local newspaper, it gives the account. Well, now she was 49 years old. Remember, she was 25 when they put her in the attic. Now she was 49 years old, and she looked like a corpse. She was only 55 pounds. Now, let's look here at this beautiful girl and look what they found. I know, but let's not look at it too long. It's not a happy story because, as we all know, not all love stories have a happy ending. So anyway, all the tabloids at the time wrote up stories about her, and they ended up, because, by then the poor girl had gone, she'd lost her mind being up there all that time. And they had to take her to a mental institution, and that's where she lived out the rest of her life. So, be glad, no matter how sad of a love story you may have, that it wasn't like Blanche's story, and it did not have the ending that Blanche had, because that's pretty sad. But the junk journalers have let her live forever through the journals that we make about her life. Okay, so now that I've depressed everybody, okay, that is going to be, let me mark these down so that we don't get too confused. This one is going to be A for when I put my listing up. That will be, oops, this one is A. All right, A. This one's going to be B. Now, there's a little different style. If you've seen my journals before, I like making, I've been doing this for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. These journals that I like to make with file folders. So you'll see a lot of the same components in these, but just showed in a different way. So it has that same little booklet that I showed you in here, and it has the little samples of different types of fabrics. We've got some of the little dolls that I made. It has, again, the pictures of Paris, of the entertainment at the time. Let's call it entertainment. And then that other paper that I showed you, it also has one of the hearts. And then it's got several pages here. And all kinds of papers are in here. I've got, oh, look how pretty this is. Clothing of the time. So I have, coffee dyed, tea dyed, eco dyed, printed out, originals, all kinds of good stuff. Again, it has that little booklet. It has another little doll, and you can write on these. It has the story that I just shared with you. And here in the back, we have some more journaling spots. And then you also are going to have the Valentine from the boyfriend, and the decorated gloves, some fabric, the little heart, and this comes with another little booklet. And so that all comes together with this one, and this one is B. Let's see if this doesn't turn out to be, like 10 hours long. I have a feeling I'm going to have to rush. But the first one, I had to tell you all the story, and you can see all the components. Now you know what's inside of them. I can go a lot quicker. I think. I hope. If everything doesn't come falling down. All right. Okay, let's say this one is C. And this is like the first one. Let's put this right there. Okay, that way you can see it. And here's this. And you get the backstory. And you get the other little card that opens up. And this has a pocket back here. And then this opens like this. Whoops, you're not going to be able to see that. Opens up like that. And then there's this in here. And another little booklet in there. That opens up. Here's a little sample of fabric. There's a little pocket. And then it has all these different compartments. It has a little heart in here. It's got some other little booklet. It's got the paper dolls. Another paper doll. One of the other little hearts, another little pocket in there. And this opens up. And you have the little Valentine from the boyfriend and the glove. And then you've got this little journal like the other one. And this little journal. And then oopsie, this little journal here. And like the other one that I showed you in the other large one. So that will go there. This goes here. Oh, I didn't give you any measurements. Okay, so let's put C. So the A, it'll be the same size that I'm going to tell you for this one. So this is 10, 10 by 7 with almost a 4-inch spine. So A and C is the same size. I have another one. Let's just get that one out of the way. Maybe C, this will be D. Now on this one I have little pockets here, and I have little tags that come out. This one doesn't open like the other one did. It's made a little different. Let's put that on there. Again, here you've got the little folder, these two, and the backstory. And some more of the dolls. Whoops. And in here is the little sewing booklet, the heart, little samples of the fabric, and the clothing and furniture. Oops. Some of the ladies. Big difference, huh? The party ladies and the other ladies. And then the little heart. And another little paper doll. The little glove. Oopsie. The boyfriend. And then those little journals. And I didn't give you the dimensions on those on the other one because I was too busy chit-chatting. So these are 5 by 3 1/4, 5 by 6, and then we've got there's a pocket right here that I'm going to put something in there. I forgot to put something in that pocket. And these are 8.5 by 5.5. I got to put all this back together again, but you get the idea. This is, whoops, this is D. And this one will be E. So there's a picture of her. There's a black and white one, or sepia, and then the colored one. Look how pretty she is. So pretty. I love this picture. Some little fabric samples and those girls again. And here you got the little booklet and some pictures, little folder, some of the girls, some of the fabric. More samples. Here's a little heart got from the boyfriend, and another little heart. And then here we've got this and this. And then in the back, we've got one of the paper dolls and the boyfriend, the little folder, the backstory, and then this is a little different. There's another little booklet here. That. So that one is E. That all comes together. And the last one, I made a tall and skinny. And it has all the goodies. Oh, I tied that in there. There is the heart. Little samples of fabric of the day. All the stuff. All the stuff. And of course the backstory and the other little folder with the lady, the Valentine, and the heart. Oh, we made it. This took forever. Okay, this is going to be F. And these will all be in the shop. And I'm sure you really benefit from reading all the backstory in there and playing around with these journals. I had a lot of fun making them. They were a lot of work, but I was having fun. So work is okay with me as long as I'm having fun. All right. As always, they need a new home, and I'm pretty sure it's at your house.